This is Roger Stone calling in for the electronics gods seem to be against us today. But, extraordinary news out of Washington. Big breaking news. All of it predicted here months ago at InfoWars about Russian involvement with the Obama administration and the sale of strategic uranium reserves from the United States to a state-owned company there. You know, psychological projections, a theory in psychology in which humans defend themselves against their own unconscious impulses or qualities by denying their existence themselves but projecting them onto others. Hillary and Team Obama really have appeared to have raised this to a high art form. All the while Hillary and her allies have been screaming, Russia, 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 we found out today that the Obama administration slow-walked a known, real Russian conspiracy to secure large swaths of U.S. strategic uranium reserves to a Russian-controlled company. You know, the original research on this was done by Peter Schweitzer, who wrote an extraordinary book on it, financed by Steve Bannon and the folks at Breitbart, and it showed that the Clintons netted millions of dollars by getting this deal done for Uranium One through the Obama White House labyrinth. Russian interest leading all the way back to the president, Vladimir Putin, wanted to purchase the Uranium One company from a Canadian financier, Frank Justra, who had concessions to mine uranium in Kazakhstan and the United States. So Bill Clinton got a $500,000 quote-unquote speaking fee from a Russian investment bank with ties to the Kremlin. Hillary Clinton had nine other shareholders of Uranium One made $145 million in donations to the Clinton Foundation, after which the State Department approved the deal, giving Russia control of 20% of America's uranium assets. Today, however, between The Hill and Circa News, two new bombshells were dropped. It turns out that the FBI had been gathering evidence since 2009 about Russian bribery and had confidential witnesses working inside the Russian nuclear industry, gathering financial records, making clandestine recordings, and intercepting data transmissions. These records showed in 2009 that Moscow had compromised an American uranium trucking firm with bribes and kickbacks. Then there was hard evidence that Russian nuclear officials had routed millions of dollars for the specific benefit of former President Bill Clinton's charitable foundation during the exact same time that Secretary of State Hillary Clinton served on a government body that provided favorable decisions for Moscow. When the Uranium One deal and the Clinton pay for pay were very well documented in Schweitzer's book, Clinton Cash, in 2015, but at the time we didn't know that Deputy Attorney General, then U.S. Attorney Rod Rosenstein, Deputy Assistant FBI Director Andrew McCabe, already under investigation for massive campaign contributions funneled from the Clintons to his wife in a Virginia state Senate race, former FBI Director James Comey, and former FBI Director Robert Mueller were all aware of the federal investigation that showed that the Russians had bribed their way into control of 20% of our uranium. We learned today that the administration of Barack Obama conducted an entire cover-up of the federal investigation. In fact, those who were on the private overseas investment board in which Hillary Clinton and Eric Holder both sat, who approved the Uranium One deal, were never formally informed corruption investigation. So in other words, Mueller, Comey, Rosenstein, and McCabe engaged in a cover-up. How ironic. Those are the exact four individuals that are currently conducting the Trump colluded with the Russia investigation. It is extraordinarily ironic, is it not?
Well, Roger, I sit here and obviously we've known about this for a long time. This is not new news to us. The question is, how do they get away with it? You know, it's like, how are we sitting here in this reality and people don't know what's going on? And I know we already know this, but again, we just have to rehash. The Democrat Party, the Clintons, the deep state, Mueller's team, they all assume that the American public is too stupid, that the American public is so brainwashed, that the American public can't even think for themselves. They literally think as the American public as a bunch of cockroaches, probably even a piece of dirt, that you can't even think for yourself. We, on the other hand, we report news, we give you the truth, we give you both sides, and show you where the real Russian collusion is. We assume Americans are more intelligent than that. We assume Americans can absorb information and critically think and make a decision for themselves. That is the diametric difference now between what we do here and what people like at the Clinton Foundation do, the Democrat Party do, and the liberal mainstream news. I mean, they must really think America is dumber than a box of rocks if they're going to continue to move forward with this Russia investigation when all of the blowback on the Clintons and the Podestas is sitting right in front of us.
Well, what's interesting is the news organ that broke the Uranium One story, kind of contemporaneous with Peter Schweizer, was the New York Times. An extraordinarily good story and some excellent investigative reporting. But the stories broken today about the Obama administration investigation and cover-up were written by The Hill and Circa News. Now, tonight, our friend Sean Hannity features Sarah Carter, an extraordinarily talented investigative reporter. It was Sarah Carter and John Solomon, now of The Hill, who broke the story about the super-secret FISA court handing down documents in November that showed that 30,000 Americans, including yours truly, had been illegally surveilled by the Obama NSA. This includes, presumably, Paul Manafort and Donald J. Trump. Yet, in a scandal far worse than Watergate, no one has yet to be punished. In any event, I believe Carter tonight will reveal that millions more than thought were paid to the Podestas and Hillary by the Russians for military technology transfer.
It's all blowing up in their face. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the War Room. We are in the middle of the second hour. I'm your host, Owen Schroyer. Of course, Roger Stone is with us as well, always with us in the second hour. Before we go back to Roger's expertise on what's breaking right now with the Clinton-Obama Lynch collusion with the FBI and Russia, I got to let you know about some sales going on at InfoWarsStore.com right now. Folks, it's all possible. 10 hours a day, InfoWars does live broadcasting now because of your support at InfoWarsStore.com. If you want to see our expansion continue to support us at InfoWarsStore.com. And we don't just rake you over the coals, we give you great deals. I'm just looking at some of these great specials here on the front fold of InfoWarsStore.com. 30% off Super Male Vitality. I take that every day. 50% off Anthroplex. I take that every day. Caveman, that is part of my protein shake after my workout. I also take that every day. You've got the Nascent Iodine BioTrue Selenium Combo, 40% off. I do take Nascent Iodine maybe about twice a week now. I used to take it every day, but it's helped me rid some of the toxic chemicals from my body that I don't need it every day. The selenium was honestly too much for me. The BioTrue Selenium, that product is the real deal, folks, but it was honestly too much for me. I just simply didn't need that one. Brain Force Plus, though, that is a must-have, especially for people who, well, let's just say we like to operate on little sleep because we like to work through the night and we can't stop working. So what do? Well, we can't get the power nap in. We just hit the Brain Force. and the BrainForce powers you through. That is 50% off right now. BrainForce Plus, 50% off. Alex loves this special so much because the audience loves it too, but I imagine we've got to sell out of this stuff at some time. But the sale is still there, folks, so continue to take advantage, please. 50% off BrainForce Plus at InfoWarsStore.com. All kinds of other products there as well. Don't forget about the exclusive coupon code PRO10 for an additional 10% off whey protein. We've got True Whey Protein also at InfoWarsStore.com. And with the coupon code PRO10, that's coupon code PRO10, you get an additional 10% off the True Whey Protein. Well, Roger, all of this Russia thing really puts a fault line in America. And can people critically think? Can they read? Can they think for themselves? Or do they just buy whatever literal dung comes out of Clinton's butt?
Well, here's the question, and these stories are significant, but they're broken by The Hill and Circa News. What will be interesting is to see what kind of mainstream media pickup they now get. The Uranium One story originally broke in the New York Times, and therefore it had what we call legs. But I hate to say this, the Circa News story by Sarah Carter and John Solomon several months ago about their findings regarding mass-based surveillance of American citizens by the Obama administration in violation of the Constitution and the law, where the court had specifically warned the Obama NSA not to do this, and they did it anyway. You heard nothing more about it. Saw nothing more about it. There was no hue and cry in the Congress or among the Greek chorus that greets any pronouncement by the Clintons. So it remains to be seen if the news breaking today, proof of a cover-up, and I think larger than reported payments to the Podestas and Hillary Clinton from the Russians at around the time of some major U.S. military technology transfers from our country to the Russians, part of her reset strategy, I am told. And therefore, I'll be tuning in to Sean Hannity tonight. He's an ally in the fight for freedom, and see him break this down even further. But where will CBS and CNN and ABC and NBC be? That's the question.
Well, here's what I don't understand, Roger. We already know that the lines have been drawn. We already know who's going to report this. You're not going to see this on MSNBC. You're not going to see this on CNN. You most likely won't see this on any of the big affiliates, ABC, NBC, CBS. Fox will pick it up. You'll probably see it on a lot of Fox shows. Maybe Fox Business, some shows will pick it up. You know, Lou Dobbs is always good with this stuff. You've got the One America News Network that's also on TV. They'll run with this stuff. But clearly the fault lines have been drawn. But the strange thing is, to me, and I know that there's no simple answer to this, it's just they still have nothing on Russia, Roger. They literally have nothing. They even waged against you. They tried to get you for Russian collusion. Nothing. So they don't even give their audience anything to eat. They're literally starving them to death with this Russia thing.
Same time, how ironic, they're the ones who turn out to have substantial vulnerabilities vis-a-vis Russia. It turns out to be Bill Clinton who took $500,000 for a speech in the Clinton Foundation that took $145 million from 9 shareholders of Uranium One, the Canadian company that had U.S. uranium mining concessions and required Clinton State Department approval for the transfer of that sale. Frank Giustra juiced the Clinton Foundation for millions. He even went on to form a Canadian-based wing of the Clinton Foundation, because under Canadian law, there's far less in terms of transparency requirements and reporting requirements. So how many millions more were trafficked through the Canadian branch of the Clinton Foundation scam? I mean, the Clinton Foundation was never a charity. It was a slush fund for grifters. It was a vehicle for the facilitation of multi-million-dollar payoffs and bribes. And it's not, as we now know, not just uranium. Bill and Hillary Clinton literally would sell or buy or steal a hot stove.
Well, they did get caught stealing silverware and I think furniture from the White House as well. So they are known thieves, literally. But it all just came to a head to me.
To be clear, we're talking about hillbilly trash here. These are people who, they're not liberals. They're not progressives. They're not moderates. They believe in the cash. What do I need to get the cash? If that includes selling out my country, like when Bill Clinton sold missile targeting technology that was highly classified to the Chinese in return for a measly $300,000 in campaign contributions, he should have been charged with treason, which is grounds for impeachment there. I never thought, oral sex in the Oval Office with Monica Lewinsky, while distasteful, was probably not really grounds, whereas treason is most definitely grounds for his removal.
Roger, I just realized something. Because this is so frustrating to me. We've been reporting on this for years. This has been known for years. They try to wage this war against Trump that's non-existent. It's a nothing burger. They even admit it. And yet all of the Russian evidence falls against the Democrats, Podestas, the Clintons. We know it's all there. And sadly, half of America is literally so retarded that they couldn't even find their own butt with a map. But I just realized, Roger, it all just became clear to me. It all comes back to Jeff Sessions. What is Jeff Sessions doing? I'm sick of reporting on this. I'm sick of having guests on. I'm sick of acting like this is new. I'm sick of talking about Russia. Arrest these people, Sessions. What is he doing?
Yeah, no, you raise a simple point, which is we know this isn't going to get covered in the media, but there's only one person who needs to read it, and that's the Attorney General of the United States. Today we learned of a crime. Eric Holder knew of this investigation, yet Eric Holder was on the board that approved the Uranium One sale to the Russians. So you have to wonder whether the media would cover the 5 a.m. arrests of Rosenstein, McCabe, Comey, and Mueller at their homes. Jeff Sessions, you now have ground to arrest every one of them. Tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., kick in their doors.
Seriously, it's what they did to Manafort. We got one more segment with Roger Stone. Don't go anywhere. Final segment here on the War Room with Roger Stone, warroom.show for all our live content. And just like Roger and InfoWars have been ahead of the curve on the Russian angle of the last election, where they try to project Russian meddling onto Trump, when in fact it was the Podestas, the Democrats, the Clintons, the Holders. They were the ones colluding with Russia. We've caught them red-handed. But Roger, you were also on top of the projection of sexual predator that they tried to cast upon Donald Trump, when it's truly inside the Democrat Party. Even the heads of the Democrat Party, Bill Clinton, Anthony Weiner, Bill de Blasio's staffer, they are the real sexual predators.
Well, and there's no better example of this than the attempt by the Clintons to make aspersions against Donald Trump regarding his relationship with the billionaire hedge fund manager Jeffrey Epstein, who we now know pled guilty to a child sex crime, and who maintained a posh Virgin Islands retreat where he would fly in on his opulent plane that was dubbed the Lolita Express. Dignitaries, U.S. senators, governors, prominent athletes, prominent socialites, and, of course, William Jefferson Clinton. Virginia Roberts, who claimed that she was kept by Epstein as a sex slave and was made to service various men who were brought to the island, said she attended a party at which Bill Clinton was present. Now, she didn't say she saw Bill having sex, because she was taken from the room by her master Epstein for a sexual romp. But she did say that when she left the main room, Bill was chatting up two twin 17-year-olds. Oh, and what do you think happened after that?
Well, based on what we've seen from other fellow Democrats and from Democrat donors in Hollywood, I think that we can take a fair guess, one I'd rather not say on air.
Well, I mean, Bill Clinton's history is such that he visited Epstein's private island multiple times. He was on Epstein's private plane, which was a party plane outfitted.
Yeah, and don't forget, he wanted his Secret Service to ditch him so he could go alone.
But let's be very clear. Donald Trump was never on that island. Donald Trump was never on the plane. Donald Trump did know Epstein from New York social circles. Epstein was actually a member of the Trump Mar-a-Lago Club, which anybody who has $350,000 can be a member of. But they never partied together. This is very well covered in my book, The Clintons' War on Women. There's an extraordinary chapter on Jeffrey Epstein and his connections to Bill and Hillary Clinton. We now know that Hillary was on the orgy island, as our friend Sean Hannity called it. We know that she flew on the Lolita Express. Again, they try to connect Trump with Epstein. Trump knew Epstein casually. Epstein never had Trump on his plane. Trump admitted to once going to a cocktail party at Epstein's home. He stayed 15 minutes and he left. Virginia Roberts testified that she met Trump once at a social function at Epstein's home and that he was a perfect gentleman and nothing inappropriate happened before he hastily left. Trump himself told me, as we were driving up, I saw all these kids in the swimming pool, and I said, how nice of Jeff to let the neighborhood kids use his pool. Only when he got inside did he become uncomfortable. He said hello to his host and hastily left. That's the extent of their socializing together. Yet the Clintons got some woman to come forward and claim that Epstein and Trump, working together, had raped her when she was a teen. She, of course, didn't show up for her press conference to illuminate us about these claims. Completely and totally bogus. Again, the Clintons trying to project onto their enemies what they themselves did. Now, James Patterson came up with a cleanup book, kind of shift the Epstein thing over to Trump when it's the Clintons who were knee-deep with Epstein. But his book won't wash. You want to know the truth of the extraordinary story of Jeffrey Epstein, who was supplying underage girls for people like Senator George Mitchell of Maine and also for former Governor Bill Richardson, according to Virginia Roberts, then you can find it in my book, The Clintons' War on Women, which is available at the Infowars.com store.
Yeah, of course, let's not forget, in the WikiLeaks, they talk about having young children in the pool, quote, for your entertainment, and they even go into the specific details on the ages of those children. That's in the WikiLeaks. Very disturbing stuff there. Of course, you see everything that comes out with Harvey Weinstein. They knew about him for years, yet he was always rubbing elbows with Democrats inside the Democrat circle. In fact, Roger, they just had a big Democrat event. I'm sure that there were a lot of funds raised in the Hamptons where they were trying to prop up Kamala Harris to be the next Democrat nominee for president. And guess who she was rubbing elbows with and being fancy with? Harvey Weinstein.
No, it's interesting. Look, when you look at Harvey Weinstein, his situation is very, very similar to Bill Clinton. I would say close, but no cigar. In any event, you have two guys, both of whom were sexual predators. For Hillary to say yesterday, this has all been litigated. No, woman, none of it's been litigated, other than Paula Corbin Jones, and you and your husband paid her $850,000 to settle out of court because he was guilty, because he dropped his pants and he said, put it in your mouth. That's a fact. She said, kiss it, according to the court documents. That's vile. He chased her around a hotel room before she luckily, safely fled.
Yeah, and
Bill
look at
Pater, and he lost his law license in Arkansas, was suspended by the bar over this. So, yes, when it was litigated, your husband was proven to be guilty, and he lost. But women like Juanita Broderick and Kathy Willey, they've never gotten their day in court. They've never gotten justice for the way they were brutally assaulted by Bill Clinton and then viciously threatened and intimidated at the hands of Hillary.
I found Hillary Clinton saying it's all been litigated as an admission of guilt. That's how I saw it. Like, yeah, you had to go to court because your husband raped people. That's how I took it.
What I really liked was, this is a new one. I'm going to try to use this in the future. That was in the past. That's her excuse. Oh, that was in the past. Reminds me of Senator Al D'Amato of New York when it was learned that he required employees in the town of Hempstead, where he was the presiding town supervisor, to kick back 1% to the local Republican Party. His defense was, oh, that was in the past. Amazing. Amazing.
No, you know what's really amazing, though, Roger? What's amazing is you still have liberal media outlets that will play the Donald Trump, Billy Bush tape all day long, point at that tape, yet they'll never air the Harvey Weinstein tape, which is actually a man acting it out, actually victimizing a woman in the tape. They completely ignore that. I mean, Roger, I'm so sick. Jeff Sessions need to put these people in jail. How long do we have to cover this crap?
This is very simple. Mr. Attorney General, let me explain this to you. You send federal marshals to Chappaqua with handcuffs. You inform the Secret Service you'll be making the arrest in advance. You take her to a court where she stands in front of a federal judge, and you ask for an indictment, which you most certainly can get. It's pretty open and shut. This is a career criminal, and between the excesses of the Clinton Foundation and selling her office, what came out today by Peter Schweizer, indictable. That was last year. Everything in his book is a walking criminal indictment. A real prosecutor would have done this. Let me say this. If Rudy Giuliani had been appointed Attorney General, say what you like, Bill and Hillary would be behind bars today.
Well, I'm not sure what to do with the Attorney General. I'm not sure what Sessions is waiting on, but I'm sick of covering this stuff, Roger. I want to cover them getting arrested. That's what I want to cover now. 30 seconds, Roger Stone. What do you got?
I'm loving the War Room. I'm getting great comment on it, Owen. More and more people tuning in for our late afternoon contretemps, and I'm enjoying working with you. And this is all very exciting. We have them on the run.
Well, they're not going to be able to start accusing our president of things that they're guilty of without an attempt at a countervail from us. Thank you, Roger Stone. He departs. We'll be right back with our guest, Leo Zagami, on the other side. This is The War Room, warroom.show.